Alrighty, so what is going on, everybody? Q here. We are not necessarily back, but we're here with a deck profile today. As a lot of you know, I've been getting back into the Pokemon TCG relatively heavily. So we're gonna go ahead and be profiling what I like to dub the Wild Hunt deck. It was an idea that I had back when Lost Thunder and the corresponding Japanese sets were first announced. So we're just going to kind of go ahead and get into it. Don't want to keep you guys here all day. So pardon the quality and the setup. My workspace is a little bit cluttered at the moment because of all the cards that the girlfriend and myself have been buying. So next deck profile that I do is going to be it's going to look a lot better. I promise. But so starting up on the lineup, we have 3 Rowlet. Um, for obvious reasons, and then I run 1 Dartrix, I'll explain that in a second, and then I run 3 of my good buddy Decidueye GX. So I run 1 Dartrix because I run 3 Rare Candy in this deck. If I was going to make a change, I would substitute out something else for 1 more Dartrix just to kind of have an extra insurance policy to make sure I can get out Decidueye. But I'm pretty happy with the build that I have right now. But further testing is always something that can be done to improve the deck. But he's not really meant as like a main attacker. He's there obviously for the ability to do 20 damage to any Pokemon from the bench. Doesn't matter where they're at. And then the star of the show, and I absolutely love this little guy, is Shuckle GX, which we have 3 of in this deck. Has the ability to where if your opponent has 2 or fewer energy attached to their Pokemon, their active Pokemon, actually to any Pokemon, so it can be something from the bench too if need be, any actual attack to Shuckle can't be done. So you need at least 3 energy on a Pokemon to be able to attack Shuckle with a actual Pokemon attack. I don't think abilities count towards that, which is good. He'd be kind of busted otherwise. But I like that, and I like his standard attack for 1 colorless energy is triple poison. Instead of 10 damage in between turns, it's 30. And then 1 retreat cost is kind of nice. 170 health, not exactly the tankiest, but we kind of work around that in this deck. We kind of work around that. So then also I have 3 Alolan Vulpix. Sorry, that's kind of out of frame here. But I have 3 Alolan Vulpix, the one with the Beacon ability, and then lastly for our Pokemon lineup, I have 2, we will slide her into frame down here. I have 2 Alolan Ninetales GX, the new one from Lost Thunder. So the reason why I run Alolan Ninetales in this deck is so that I can have an easier time drawing these guys, the rare candies, to get the Decidueyes going, right? That's pretty much what she's there for. She's not really meant as an attacker. I have a way for her to attack in this deck, but she's not really. That's not really her job. That's not her role. Her role is to get me the item cards, whether it be to search something out, as far as Nest Ball, Ultra Ball, Rare Candy, any item card that I need, right? And then this deck I run 2 of the Choice Helmet. Generally, that's going to go on the Shuckles just to make him make him a little bit tankier. Also for Decidueye as well. Just to kind of, being that Decidueye GX has 240 life, allows him to kind of take some hits. And then next I have 2 Escape Boards. Those I think go really well with Shuckle. He only has 1 retreat cost, so you put an Escape Board on, you can swap out to whatever you need to swap out to, whether it be to heal or maybe have Decidueye take a hit, Alolan Ninetales, etc. Originally, the deck, originally before Alolan Ninetales was brought in, I was running Murkrow and Honchkrow with Raven's Claw, so that Honchkrow could do 10 damage for every damage counter on your opponent's Pokemon, period. So that with, 4 Decidueye, you can kind of see where that game plan went. And I just still don't think that's actually too bad of an idea, but I dislike that Honchkrow only has 110 HP. Like, even with Choice Helmet on, kind of, being able to reduce 30 damage from a GX, that's good, but 110 is still kind of low for me, so I wasn't really a fan of that. But I also run 2 of the Aether Paradise Conservation Area. That's a mouthful and a half. But just to kind of help the Shuckles, the Rowlets, to kind of survive a little bit better. They take 30 less damage. For you and your opponent, obviously, it's a stadium card. Works for basic Electro Pokemon too, so I'm not sure how that's really going to work out with Lost Thunder. I know that can be kind of a pain for Zeraora, but that's for attacks. That doesn't count towards poison damage in between turns and whatnot, or abilities from Decidueye. So that's kind of a good look. And then I also run a Life Force Prism Star, which this card does a lot of work, especially for somebody that's tanky, kind of like Decidueye, and it helps Shuckle heal up pretty well. That's pretty much self-explanatory. So, and these next cards changed everything. So when I was playtesting against the girlfriend's Zoroark Lycanroc deck, I was getting tossed up really bad. I was like, I need a way to either actually slow it down, whether it be with a Pokemon or with some type of disruption or something. So it was pretty self-explanatory. I went with, we'll set them up here. I went with 2 Crushing Hammer and 2 Enhanced Hammer. Again, if I was doing any type of, he kind of slid over there a little bit. If I was doing any type of adjustment, I would probably add 1 more Enhanced Hammer, but we'll see. Self-explanatory, and that changed everything. Having the Enhanced Hammer to get rid of a double colorless, which is pretty common nowadays. I haven't play tested versus a Tapu Koko like Malamar deck yet, but most Tapu Koko decks like to run a DCE for them, so that could kind of slow things down a little bit. And then I also run 3 Switch. Me personally, I feel like this should be standard in every deck. I know there's a decent amount of decks that run it. Some decks really don't. I don't know why. I feel like there's no reason not to run it. That's just me. Just to kind of help get things out of dodge. Everything in the deck has at least 2 retreat costs, with the exception of Shuckle. Generally, once everything is evolved, so I'm like, switch can kind of help. If I don't need a switch at that point, it's discard fodder for Ultra Ball, etc. Now we're going to kind of get into this, what I believe, anyway, personally, is the staples of every deck, or what should be staples of every deck. If it's not a staple, you're doing it wrong, to me. I have 2 Rescue Stretcher, obvious. Something gets knocked out, say like a Shuckle gets knocked out, and I have 1 prize or something. It's easy for me to get them back. It's easy for me to get back say I have a Rowlet. I have Decidueye get knocked out, and there's a Rowlet on the bench, and I have Rare Candy. I can Rescue Stretcher him. Whatnot. Actually, it looks like there's a crease in this. No, I guess it's good. I want to make sure. I was like, don't tell me my new sleeves are messing up. But yeah, just it's pretty self-explanatory. And then the usual suspects. Nothing you guys haven't seen before. 3 Nest Ball, and then 1, 2, 3, and 4 Ultra Ball. And then the typical supporter lineup, you have 3 Cynthia. I know most decks run 4, but if I was, like I said, if I was to make a change in that front, I would swap out an Ultra Ball for Cynthia. But I run 3 Cynthia, 3 Guzma, whatever you want to call them, and then 3 Lily. Like, literally the standard 3-3-3 lineup that most decks run. And then the interesting part, to me, one of the interesting parts, is I also have 2 Rainbow Energy in this deck. Rainbow Energy primarily is here for this girl, for Alolan Ninetales, just to kind of give her a way to attack. Snowy Wind for 70, 30 to the bench. If I have the Decidueyes out, that's 60 on the bench. That's 90. You're doing a hefty amount of damage. If they got some basics, so in this case, like Zoroark Lycanroc, that allows me to get a pick on one of the baby Pokemon before they get evolved, if they don't have it yet. So, and then so I run that instead of Fairy Energy just because the other Pokemon can't really use Fairy Energy all that well, and I figure it kind of helps. It kind of helps. So I figure be kind of good. And then lastly, there is 8 Grass Energy. So kind of probably maybe 1 or 2 energy cards more than I probably need. There's always room for improvement in the deck build, but I'm pretty happy with this. It's pretty consistent now as far as getting set up. It was kind of clunky at first, and I started making some changes here and there. But I'm pretty happy with where this is at. The ideal setup is Life Force, the Shuckle in the active with all 3 Decidueyes on the bench, and whether Shuckle has a choice helmet on or a skateboard doesn't really matter. Because at that point you're doing 60 damage period from the bench with Decidueye, or between the Decidueyes, and Shuckle is doing 30 every turn with the poison damage. I contemplated running the Seviper in this, and that's still something I might do. I might swap out a Vulpix and maybe drop a switch to put in 2 Sevipers. We'll see. I'm not sure. Like I said, there's always room for optimization just to kind of bump the poison damage up a little bit. But either way, like just being able to have damage that can bypass walls and stuff like that, right? Like being able to have that quote unquote indirect damage, I think is partially what makes this deck really scary. Now like I said, I haven't tried it against Malamar Tapu Koko yet. I know that's a really big deck that's been played. I ran into that, was it this past weekend at Youmacon when I was there. Uh, that was pretty rough when I was playing my Metagross Galio deck, but I definitely I don't think this deck is foolproof by any means. I don't think that at all. But at the same time, I think it's solid. There's always room for improvement or optimization. But the only decks that I really can see myself fearing right now is the Blacephalon decks, and I know those are about to be running absolutely wild and rampant right now because that card is just so good. But the thing is with Blacephalon, it needs to have 3 energy in order to attack. So that might be able to buy me extra turn, and then having the Rainbow energy as well. If I have Alolan Ninetales out, Blacephalon is an Ultra Beast. I can use the GX attack, take a free knockout. Primarily, I would like to save my GX attack for Hollow Hunt, just in case I discard some stuff. I'm burning through my deck. Whether I need to get Decidueye, Dartrix, Rowlet back into my hand. I can do that. I can get another Cynthia. I can get a Rescue Stretcher. I can get another Enhanced Hammer. I can get whatever I need back from discard pile, and it goes directly into my hand, right? So provided there's not a lot of disruption like late game after they've kind of already burned through their cards to do that, I think that's not too bad. But otherwise, I would like to save it just because Ultra Beast decks are running kind of wild right now. So just being able to even though it's only once a game, you can just completely remove one from the game, right? And if it's a GX, that's the free 2 prize cards, and that can be really rough, especially if it's like, look, I have my Blacephalon ready to go. This one's ready. The one on the bench isn't ready. You knock it out. You've bought yourself a little bit of time, right? So, but that's the Wild Hunt deck. That's the presentation. Funny story about it is that when I posted this up on Facebook and Instagram, I actually didn't realize I was at the 57 card count. So I was originally at 3 Ultra Balls, and then the Rainbow Energies weren't in here, so I decided to put these in. Instead of 4 Cynthia, I still think the 3-3-3 line works with the way this deck wants to run, and this has worked out pretty well for me so far. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Appreciate you for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any ideas or suggestions on optimizations, feel free to sound off, in the comments or tweet out to me, etc. Feel free to take this on to, the PTCGO and see how it goes for you guys. We'll catch y'all on the flip side soon with another deck profile. Deuces.